That's it. Little trailer-ish cue. Nothing too fancy, but it will do the trick in terms of showing you the principles of mixing. So, as I said, I'm going to take everything down to 0. And I've been talking with a lot of mixers recently about what their approach is when mixing trailer cues, for example, and what they begin with. And they all give different answers. A lot of them just say that they start with whatever element they feel is central for the track and then build a mix around that. And that's pretty much the approach I have as well. So what I'm going to do now is to start with the staccato strings, which is the main core of this little cue. So I'm also going to make it loop so I don't have to go back between this and the mixing window all the time. So now everything is down to 0, and I'm going to start just bringing up these staccato things. I'm just going to hit play. And make sure that you give some like headroom here so you're not pushing it too high. So there we have the strings, pretty much. So the next thing I like to do is to work my way from the core out to the smaller elements. So from the big percussion out to the small details like a little rattle or a triangle or whatever. So I'm going to start with the booms here, the low booms, and then the hits, and try to make them balance well with the strings. And in these kind of cues, you want the hits to be pretty prominent, especially in trailer music. So while you might feel the urge to pull it back a little bit, make sure to have the hits pretty upfront in the mix to give it a lot of power. Something like that. And now I'm just gonna adjust the riser at the end here. And I'm gonna start working on the big percussion. Like all these things you will adjust as you go, but I'm just trying to get in the main elements here in the beginning. And here again, it's really important to begin checking out your reference mix. I'm just going to find a place in this cue that is similar in the feeling to what I'm trying to do here. Super loud, so I'm going to take it down quite a lot. Yeah, I think this part of the track is pretty good. here it sounds pretty muffled and dead. And one of the things you could probably know or realize by now is that there's no reverb at all here. There's no EQ, no reverb, no panning. So what you can do if you get tired of the really dry sound is to just take a little bit of reverb on the master bus, because we're going to get to reverb later, but I'm just going to slap on a little bit of a subtle hole here from East-West Quantum Leap Spaces. It's a little bit of like a hole just to glue everything together a little bit. Or actually it's a little bit too much for the percussion and stuff, so I'm just going to drag it over to the strings and just duplicate it for the brass and the choirs, so we have something. Now it sounds a little bit more natural. So let's see where we're left off. Yeah, the drums. What I also see is that a lot of these audio files are pretty quiet, so I think we safely can pull it up just a little bit. And I can rather just pull it down a bit here so we have a bit more room to work with. I'm just gonna keep a little bit working on these drums. And you need to think about the mixing space as a three-dimensional space. So what you basically do with the volume is to push things from the back to the front of the stage, you can say. So the lower the volume, the further back something will sound, and the higher the volume, the closer to you it will sound like. So I'm just starting to bring in instrument one by one, and I keep adjusting things as I go. And here we have some low brass that comes in the second round. Then we have some choirs. And I want them to be pretty far back, like behind the orchestra. So now we have most of the elements. It's just like some minor higher drums here that I'm gonna bring in, and then we can start fine-tuning a little bit and listen to the reference mix. So now we have all the instruments here, and it's time to start fine-tuning the volume leveling, because this is really important. You need to make sure that everything is balanced nicely. Now I'm just gonna listen to this and compare it a little bit to the reference mix. You can hear that the brass is a bit more prominent in his piece. More like that. You can hear how prominent the percussion is here, like a bit more that you feel is natural, but this really gives it a lot of energy. Okay, so the volume balance is getting there. I'll probably start like just fine tweaking everything until it's perfect, but that's beyond the scope of this video. I just want to show you like the basics of this. There's no like right or wrong in terms of the volume balance. You just need to go over it a few times, maybe take a break and just listen to and trust your ears. And you can always go back. You'll always keep tweaking this throughout the EQ, the reverb, and all the other stages. So this is just a starting point. But overall, you don't need to have like the perfect mix at this stage, but it should sound all right. Like I think this sounds all right by now if you listen to it. But what you can notice if you compare it to the reference is that it's too much low end. It sounds muffled and a bit muddy. So that's something we're going to start working on pretty soon. But for now, this is the basics of volume leveling. I take everything down, start with the most fundamental instruments, bring in like the low stuff, and then work my way up to the high drums and the small details. So yeah, so that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next video where we're going to have a look at panning.